Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. This is Naaman with the DC Camp, branch of Great Millstone here in Washington, D.C. Back for another video. But first and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kahakadash. And once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders. Alright, of Great Millstone who rule well. Like to also send salutations out to the fellow Akim, who are out on the highways and byways pushing the truth across four corners of this earth while we're still trying to wake up the remaining hopeful elect. Because prophecy tells us that time is short indeed. And here we have Mr. Shaheed Bolson, alright, straight shooter here when it comes to talking about the U.S.'s bullshit, alright, and those that are complicit with these banksters, the elites, alright, that do the bidding. And of course the United States is that strong right arm, alright. And the title of this is, of course, the site here is Metal Nation with, again, Mr. Shaheed Bolson, who you see here, and it's called The West Blame Shifting Doesn't Fool Us. And this is what you hear a lot of these Edomites, these so-called white people that try to shift the blame. Oh, well, you know, we're such good old wholesome Bible-fearing, you know, white folk. Well, we never did anything wrong. It was them folk. And that's what he's getting into. And what you find out all along is, well, they were doing, you know, as much or more than the people that they're trying to blame it on. Alright, because they're all of the same ilk, of the same stock or nation, and that is of Edom. Alright, the brother of Jacob, whose name was later changed to Israel. Alright, so these are the wicked in the earth. There's scriptures on that which I will get, but let's go ahead and roll this video.
Yeah, you know, we had this guy in the chat last night, in the live chat, who came on talking about, you know, the normal thing, saying, well, you know, the real problem is there's this certain group of people that now has a state, and they didn't used to have a state, but it's this certain group of people that's always making trouble, you know, that's always causing a problem. And of course I knew immediately what he was trying to say, what group of people he's talking about, and he's talking about the Jews. It's this same old conspiracy theory that the West is always trying to make.
But see, that's why I made the statement at the beginning. It's not conspiracy theory like what he's trying to imply here. Alright, because we know the head of all of this, alright, is those very same folk. Alright, like I said, they're all the same people. That's the thing. Alright, continuing on.
Make us believe in, and that many of us do believe in. I was a little bit harsh with this particular man, and immediately ejected him from the chat, because we want to have an intelligent conversation. And I'm not about to try to help you shift the blame for the actions of your own so-called civilization.
He's going to tell you why.
Because, you know, either you don't know your own history, which is entirely possible, or you think that we don't know your history, or you don't want us to know your history.
There you go.
But we have to confront the truth, raw and unfiltered. The crimes that were committed by the West against the rest of the peoples of the earth are their crimes and no one else's. No one forced.
Again, what we have always been saying, this is the basis, this is the real reason why they put up so much resistance in the form of critical race theory. See, this whole thing is set up to where they are not willing to take the blame for their actions. And aside from that, we want our children to feel good about themselves. Like, we give a fuck. You didn't care how our kids felt. You know, I mean, these people are just unreal, man. I mean, wow.
Was them. No one tricked them. No one controlled them. And we won't allow you to blame shift and put all the responsibility for your actions at the feet of other people, at the feet of anyone else, not the Jews, not the Masons, not the Illuminati, not the Rothschilds. No. You did what you did, and you do what you do. The Pope who launched the Crusades wasn't a Jewish Pope. Stop lying about yourselves and stop lying about your history. You were responsible for the transatlantic slave trade, millions upon millions of people from their homes, from their families, from their cultures, and you invented the whole concept of white supremacy to try to justify.
But no, we were just immigrants. You're right.
Your barbarity, classifying your fellow human beings as subhuman. It was Westerners that raided that whole continent like savage beasts, chaining free people, packing them into ships like cattle, transporting them across the ocean to lives of unimaginable horror. Over 12 million souls were uprooted. Their lives were stolen. Their spirits were broken. To build the wealth of the very people who were dehumanizing them. That was you, not the Jews.
Exactly.
Even though you retroactively try to pretend somehow that the Jews forced you to rape and pillage Africa, that they forced you and your founding fathers to force Africans to work your fields and build your economy. That was all against your will, right? Every degenerate plantation owner had a gun to his head, didn't he? Jews forced him to buy human beings and treat them like animals. You were tricked into it, right? It was IPAC all along. And when the Berlin Conference was convened in 1884, where European powers sat around a table and carved Africa up like a piece of meat, the Jews told you what to do, right? The Congo was turned into a personal plantation for King Leopold of Belgium, where 10 million Africans were worked to death, mutilated, and murdered for the sake of rubber and ivory. I guess poor King Leopold must have been hypnotized by the Jews, yes? And every single vicious colonizer who inflicted that savagery on the Congo, I guess they were all forced or tricked into it by all of those all-powerful Jews who you were at the same time persecuting in Europe. No, the French, the British, the Germans, the Portuguese, all of them imposed their will on Africa.
Now, I will say this, if I pause it just a second here, because in his, Fuhrer, the thing you have to consider is these slick-ass Amalekites, yes, they did outmaneuver their fellow Edomites, in that America is really a tool of theirs. All right, even the as far as America goes, the Revolutionary War and all that, that time there were several things going on. With the French, the British, and with them, their agent, I believe his name was Hein Solomon, who was trying to get them to establish a central bank here as early as then. And Jefferson had wrote that that would be a very bad idea, and warned that, well, your children's children, select. All right, they're going to end up being victims of these bankers. All right, and then they're going to be out in the streets. And it was the so-called Indian killer, old Tippecanoe, Andrew Jackson. I believe his last words before he, went to the spirit world was, "I beat the bankers." All right, because they were still trying to get a foothold, and they actually did. The thing that happened with Lincoln, who do you think that was? And finally in who was president when let's see, it was Wilson, but I believe the deal actually was made, damn it, who succeeded Roosevelt? It was that fat mother, what was his name? Oh man, hold on, I want to make sure I'm speaking right here. Is this the one that got stuck in the back? Wait a minute, hold on. Not Grover Cleveland. Taft. Yeah, now I just remembered it. William Howard Taft. Alright. Because as his reward, I think he's the only president, he's the only president as a result of his brokering or help to establish that Federal Reserve, he got his seat on the Supreme Court after his presidency. Of course, when it was put into motion and established, of course, Wilson was president. I believe it was his first. Yeah, it was his first administration. So, talking about late 1912 and early 1913. So, yeah. So, you know, their own people sold them out. They worried about everybody else. You know, things come about full circle. That's the thing about, you know, showing you that these people don't have the control they think they are, you know. And even now, they think to control chaos. Okay, hey, this thing is about to break loose here. But back to this. Like I said, America has been the arm of the bankster's law, for lack of a better description. And it's coming down to the point where people are tired. He's going to get to this because, as he's going to mention here, Israel over there is just a smaller version of America, in that it's racist, it's brutality, you know, and America's doing everything without even question, it seems, to stand behind these criminals over there. Here we go.
Draining its resources, enslaving its people, and crushing any resistance underfoot. But you want us to believe that you were only doing that because you were under some kind of a spell by the Jews. And really, you're just kind-hearted, innocent do-gooders, if only those nefarious Jews would let you be. You must really think we're fools. The British Empire flooded China with opium,
yep,
turning millions of people into addicts just to satisfy.
Don't you think, you know, the Boxer Rebellion and all that, even before then, you know, Admiral Perry and Japan and all, you think these people forgot about that shit? I don't think so.
By the British lust for profit. I guess that was all for the Jewish cabal, wasn't it? Those proper English gentlemen would never do such a thing. When the Chinese resisted, the British responded with vicious force, waging the opium wars to secure their right to poison an entire nation. I guess that was all under duress from the powerful Jewish rulers of the world, wasn't it? For over 2 centuries, those same British exploited India's wealth and turned that prosperous civilization into a land of famine and poverty.
Something they don't like to talk about. Here's the thing you do with these Elamites, to remind them. Let's look at, again, let me look it up because I don't want you to think I'm just making it up. Let's see, how did that happen? Anyway, let's see. Because this happened twice, but at least twice, what I'm about to pull up here. Let's see. Oh, East Indian famine. I can't remember the particular year. I believe it was 70s. Alright, let's just see here. The Great Famine of 1876 through 1878. Alright, was a famine in India under British Crown rule. It began in 1876 after an intense drought resulting in crop failure in the Deccan Plateau. It affected South and Southwestern India. The British administered presidencies of Madras and Bombay, and the princely states of Mysore and Hyderabad for a period of 2 years. Let's see, I want to get to the numbers. The famine ultimately affected, that's not what I'm talking about, that's the area. I want to get to the deaths. The excess mortality in the famine has been estimated in a range whose low end is 5.6 million human fatalities, high end 9.6. Yeah, I had already heard it was around 10 million. And a careful modern demographic estimate 8.2 million fatalities. The famine is also known as the Southern India Famine of 1876-1878. And the thing, when you get into this, there was, here it is, grain that could have saved them, destined, see this little end caption here, grain destined for export stacked on Mazar's beaches. Instead of feeding the people, they left it on the rail cars and shit to be shipped. That's how much they thought about these East Indians. But yeah, they're the first ones to always speak up when it comes to against us. See, the regular export of grain by the colonial government continued during the famine. The Viceroy, Lord Robert Bulwer Lytton, oversaw the export to England of a record 6.4 million, or 320,000 tons of wheat, which made the region more vulnerable. The cultivation of alternate cash crops, in addition to the commodification of grain, played a significant role in the events. All right. The famine occurred at a time when the colonial government was attempting to reduce expenses on welfare earlier in the Bihar famine of 1873. So this was, a period of 5 years here, or 6. All right. Severe mortality had been, they didn't give a fuck about them people, but yet they still defend them. So Stockholm and colonial mentality is not just limited to Jake here. Alright. They still looked, wow. Famine and relief. I think this happened again in World War II, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if he mentions that. Aftermath, let's see. Famine in India. Bengal famine of 1943. Here it goes. In Bengal province, British India during World War II, an estimated 800,000 to 3.8 million people died. There you go again. See? And they're the first ones to talk shit. So when they talk shit, just remember that. Fucking coolies. Anyway, back to the video.
They massacred anyone who dared to rise up, just like in the Amritsar, where British soldiers slaughtered hundreds of unarmed men, women, and children in cold blood. Winston Churchill starved tens of millions of Bengalis, but I guess that was all just to please his Jewish masters.
Yeah.
That's the way you tell it.
Told you.
You
World War
colonized
II.
the Philippines, first the Spanish and then the Americans. You murdered over 200,000 Filipinos in a brutal war of subjugation. But we've got the wrong guy. Yeah? We've got the wrong guy.
That's why here in this scripture I'm about to get, what are they known as? Let's get on down here. Let's go to Malachi. It says, the burden of the word of the Most High Yahweh to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Most High. Yet ye say, wherein hath thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Most High? Yet I loved Jacob. And I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. That's wherever you go now, it's cranes everywhere around here, and particularly in D.C. All right, thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them, because they're gentrifying the hell out of D.C. now. All right, I'm sure this is happening in major cities everywhere, especially where Jake is concentrated. These are and they shall call them the border of wickedness. And these are these motherfuckers wherever they go. It's nothing but grief and wickedness. Anything in any way you can think of it. And the people against whom the Most High Yahweh had indignation forever. These are the people he's talking about here. It doesn't matter if they're French, German, Turkish, Israelis, Russians, British, particularly that low-down, dirty American Edomite that not even his fellow Edomites like.
That couldn't have been you. That couldn't have been you wonderful, peace-loving Anglo-Saxon Christians, right? No. I guess the Jews were controlling you all the way back when you wrought havoc on the indigenous civilizations of the Aztecs and the Incas and the Mayans.
Yeah, how about that?
That couldn't have been you. Those must have been Jewish conquistadors who brought death and destruction and wiped out entire cultures.
Be careful now.
Enslaved the survivors and imposed a brutal regime of exploitation that continues until this.
Because a lot of them were mixed up in there. Got to consider. All right. That time period, what was going on? The Renaissance, Columbus. All right. Hold on now.
This day. From Guatemala to Chile, from Nicaragua to Haiti, the people of Latin America, so-called Latin America, have suffered under the weight of American imperialism, and their struggles for liberation are always met with bullets and bombs and death squads. But again, that wasn't you.
And as a result, this is why I had to laugh, because for those of you that are keeping track, what I'm about to show you happened a few years back. And I'm surprised that it hasn't happened more. But I'm, holding out here because I do believe this is going to happen more often. This is, oh wow, you just got to watch.
Violent assault of 2 Marines in Turkey, a mob captured on video holding one of the men and putting a sack over his head amid chants of Yankee go home.
Yeah.
So let's bring in ABC's foreign correspondent James Longman. And James, what more are you learning about this attack?
Whew, boy.
Yeah, Mary, shocking video out of Turkey tonight. A US Marine attacked by a violent mob. You can see him here in plain clothes. The group grabs hold of him and they put a bag over his head. Another US Marine rushes in to try to save him.
You can get some too.
Also attacked. All this happening on the street in Izmir, which is a city in the west of the country.
Yep.
These 2 men were on shore leave from the USS
was in that area
which is stationed in the
years and
Aegean.
years and years
15
ago.
people have been arrested as a result. They're from the Turkish Youth Union.
Yeah,
And
the
they say
exercise
they
is
did
off
this
the
because they
coast,
hold US personnel responsible for the war in Gaza. They say these men have the blood of Palestinians on their hands, although we should say this group has mounted similar attacks like this before. Tonight, Mary, I can tell you both these US Marines are safe, according to the US Embassy. Mary.
And we are grateful for that, James. Thank you.
You know what? I am glad that it wasn't
Chilling
Jake's.
images tonight of
They got the right
a
ones.
violent assault of 2 Marines in Turkey, a mob captured on video holding one of the men and putting a sack over his head amid chants of Yankee go home. So let's bring in ABC's foreign correspondent James Longman. And
Oh man, I'll be watching that over and over again. But back to the main video. Yeah, people are tired of the bullshit. They see it for what they have for some time. Let's not fool ourselves. All right. But again, the U.S. has been that hammer, and that's why I'm gonna get these scriptures here. Hold on. All right, this is I'm gonna go to Jeremiah here. All right, because they have indeed. Scroll on down here. And that's what the U.S. has been. Hold on, this is Jeremiah 15:22. It says, "A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Most High," and indeed they have. You've, mentioned, and part of what he was, going through all the nations that, these people, the people they fucked over the centuries, and the main ones are the Israelites. What they call us, African American, black, anything but, right? As the saying on the street goes, you call him everything but the child of God, and that's what they've done on purpose, so we wouldn't know who we are. All right. But now that time to where that awakening is happening. Alright, like I say, all these prophecies are being fulfilled. In Revelation chapter 11, verses 7 and 8 on down, is happening. They are indeed afraid. They are indeed afraid because what? We're standing up on their feet and they see this. Alright. Like I said earlier in this video, you know, they're trying to control the chaos. Now you're seeing these banks and everything are starting to fall apart, collapse. Because why? I just saw a video. I think it was redacted, talking about you know, in a matter of like 2 weeks, you know, things could collapse. You know, it's coming. That we know. All right. But in any case, yeah, the U.S. has been the hammer. When everybody got out of line, send America over there to whip them back in shape, assassinate the leaders, you know, their CIA, and to work along with the British MI6 and the Israeli Mossad, and you know, this is all white so-called supremacy. You know, every time one of them gets into trouble, the rest of them got to go over there to help the other one out because it's about enforcing so-called white supremacy. You notice that. Alright? So again, what you just saw in Turkey there, with them attacking them service members, I expect a little bit more of that, because you gotta understand, we can't get who we really want. Who's the weak link in the chain. You want to walk around our streets all proud, you know, hey, we got something for you, don't worry. So you may issue, a State Department might issue a warning or something, you know, don't be surprised. Alright, these people are tired of bullshit. They see it for what it is. Alright, so let's continue with this video.
Was it? You're as innocent as a baby, right? I guess it was the Jews who landed on Plymouth Rock, right? It couldn't possibly have been white European Christians who committed one of the most massive and longest genocides in human history.
Vocab Malone.
Americans. That must have been Jews too, right? A systematic campaign of extermination must have been executed on the orders of the Jews. From the eastern seaboard to the plains of the Midwest, from the deserts of the Southwest to the forests of the Pacific Northwest, the indigenous peoples of America were hunted like animals. Their lands were stolen, their cultures erased, the Trail of Tears, the Wounded Knee Massacre, the countless broken treaties, over 500 broken treaties, all bear witness to the genocidal intent of those invaders. But we've got the wrong guy. That's what you'd like us to believe. It wasn't you. It wasn't white Europeans. And apparently the diabolical machinations of the Jews reached all the way down under, didn't it? All the way to Australia, where the Aboriginal people who lived for 60,000 years in harmony with their land.
Nah.
Well, they were declared as non-human by British colonizers and hunted down and killed like animals. Their children were ripped away from their arms in a policy that they called assimilation, that sought to erase their culture, erase their identity.
Just like they did with Gad here in the States.
And erase their very existence. But I guess that was the Jews too, wasn't it? Just stop with this nonsense. We all know you. We know your history. We know it all too well because your history derailed our history. And it turned countless lives into a catastrophic nightmare. I mean, how do you imagine that we can look in your eyes while you're assaulting us and then you try to convince us that someone else is doing the beating?
Damn.
And yes, like I said, bear in mind that all of these crimes you've committed, and that you want to blame the Jews for, all of these crimes were committed during a time when you were also simultaneously persecuting the Jews themselves in your countries. But you want to tell one group of your victims that another group of your victims is the one that victimized them.
Now let's hold on there. Let's because that part again, you know, they were expelled because they were, you know, the blood libel thing, that was true, but because they were crooks, not because they, you know, were so righteous and trying. You got to remember, these are converts, the people he's talking about here. All right, they're playing that that role, that game, trying to make themselves appear as the actual Israelites.
or you insult our intelligence. Your hatred of the Jews is exactly what has led to the whole problem that we have right now in the Middle East. That's all your fault, and it's all because of your hatred of the Jews. Your persecution of the Jews led to Zionism, and that led you to support relocating all of the Jews.
Now see, here's the thing. I have to give them credit on that because they see through, all right, that illusion that apparently a whole lot of the world, at least up until this point, had believed or had wanted to believe. But these white supremacists, these nationalists, they know exactly who these people are and who they're not. All right, so you have to keep that in your mind when you know the actual history of what's going on. And even though I use these videos, but you have to keep, you have to be able to see through what he's spitting out too. All right.
Out of Europe and sticking them in Palestine. Your Holocaust against the Jews has been the fuel for the genocide that the Palestinians have suffered for the last 100 years. And now you come to us like you're giving us sincere advice, like you want to explain the source of our problems to us. And all you come with is the same anti-Jewish conspiracy theories and hatred that started all of our problems in the first place. Why, even now, Israel itself wouldn't have any power if it wasn't for you people.
No, it's not a conspiracy. I have to keep saying this because this is bigger than what he's making it out to be. Alright, you have one segment of this nation that's mad at the others because basically they didn't share the wealth. That's what it is. Alright. So, it's like Napoleon said, when you have two people, or as in the enemy, that are fighting, you don't run to intervene and say, come on guys. No, you let them motherfuckers go at it. So that's what we're doing. Looking at these motherfuckers, yeah. Go ahead. Because they are divided. And it's beautiful to see. Look what they did to us. So we're sitting back. Yeah, alright, it's your turn now, motherfucker. And that's what's going on.
And you're only supporting it now precisely for the same reason, because you still hate the Jews now just like you did then. I'm telling you, you're sick.
They are
and
not.
You come to us with that same old sickness, and you try to tell us that it's a medicine. It's not America, it's IPAC. It's not the UK, it's the Jewish bankers. It's not Europe, it's the Rothschilds. Well, you must be out of your mind. Do you know that Jeff Bezos could eat the entire Rothschilds family for brunch? The Waltons.
I hope for his sake he doesn't believe that. Sorry about that. But like I was saying, I hope he does not believe what he just said. Bezos is nothing. Alright. He's a pauper. When it comes to these banking elite. Alright. Continuing on.
Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, they have more money in their couch cushions than the whole Rothschilds family possesses today. It's not 1917. Wallahi, it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing to see people literally using 19th and 20th century European anti-Jewish propaganda in 2024. And they're saying it like they cracked the code. Your whole ideology is an antique. It's like you want me to stop using a smartphone because you just discovered 2 cups connected by a fishing wire, and you think it's an update. You'll do anything to avoid responsibility for your own actions. You'll shift the blame to whoever you can. Like I said, it's IPAC. It's the Jewish lobby that's holding everyone hostage in Congress. It's not Boeing. It's not Lockheed. It's not Raytheon. It's not General Dynamics. You know, if it wasn't for those pesky Jews, you wouldn't dream of funneling hundreds of billions of dollars into the weapons sector, would you? No, you'd never do that of your own volition. No, we're not stupid, and we have a memory. You've always been like this, and you've never changed. This is the only experience we have with you. And look, we have a memory of the Jews, too. Jews lived in the Muslim Empire for centuries, and we never had an issue. Your psychotic hatred is the issue. Your psychotic hatred of the Jews, of us, of Africans, of Asians, of anyone and everyone who isn't you. And the truth is, you even hate each other.
That
Your
is
first
true.
colonizing experience was against the Irish, and they look just like you.
Hold on
Never mind
now.
the fact that you've actually been vicious to your own people in your own countries all along anyway, even when they look like you, and follow your same religion.
Again, here we go. Whether he's doing this on purpose or he just doesn't know, which I kind of find hard to believe, but you know, that is on surface true what he's saying, but you gotta go back further and deeper. All right, those people he's talking about, lineage goes back to us. All right, if you must know. And like I said, for this video, I'm not going to go into it, but it's something you can look at or up for yourself. Salakia. Like I said, because these are the same people, you know, they're being found out, exposed for who they are. Much of the power that these elite bankers enjoyed had to do with secrecy. You know, real simple. But now that it's out, you're going to have people, you know, deflecting like this guy might be doing, attention away from them. You know, hoping that people will just say, oh no, you know, what's that saying they used to have about, you know, you telling a story that's so out there, that's, you know, it's true, but to certain people they say, oh no, that can't be true, you know, it's that sort of thing. But that's not working anymore like it used to. Why? Mainly because of what he just mentioned. You know, everybody's got these little supercomputers in their pockets now. You know, and with technology the way it is, it's harder and harder to keep that veil. You know, as the scripture says, the veil has been lifted. Isaiah 25:7. All right. Well, here we go. Got a little bit more.
Or your same beliefs, if they aren't rich, if they aren't landowners, if they're serfs. Because yes, it's not really even about Christianity. It's not really even about whiteness. The Irish were disqualified from being considered either one, according to you, at one time. Even forget about religion. In fact, there's a direct correlation between your so-called enlightenment and colonization. When you supposedly left the Dark Ages, you went on a mission to extinguish the lights everywhere else. From Africa to Asia, from Latin America to the Pacific, all the peoples of this world have suffered under the yoke.
And that's true, because during the so-called Dark Ages, they were shut up and shut out. All right, that was when they were bound. That was that Revelation 20th chapter. All right, for that roughly 1,000-year period where they couldn't deceive the world like they had. And the Renaissance, you know, time of Columbus and all that. Well, that's when they were set loose for that little season. All right, they have now deceived the world. All right.
Of Western aggression. And this isn't just history. This is our reality. This is our legacy, and this is our struggle. And it's a struggle that continues to this very day. And one of the reasons why this struggle continues is precisely because you continuously lie about this history. You lie about this reality. You lie about this legacy. And you try to misrepresent and confuse the nature of this struggle by blame shifting and scapegoating, and never, ever just acknowledging what you have done and what you are doing, even though everyone in the world knows.
That's what a snake does. That's what a rat does. Alright. So I'm going to leave it there. You know, actually, let's go to Isaiah 14 chapter. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Let's scroll on down here and start at 4. Alright. It says, "Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, How hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Most High hath broken the staff of the wicked." What is a staff? What does a staff represent? Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Because it tells us in the first 2 chapters, even though it says here in Most High's merciful restoration of Israel, there in 2 it tells you that those that oppressed us, all right, we're going to take and do the same thing for them, you know. But anyway, the staff represents what? Let's see. Staff of the wicked. Let's go there. Let's see. Hold on. So I can. Alright. Strong's H 4294. Matah. A branch. Figuratively a tribe. Also a rod. Whether for chastising, reminds you of what? Revelation 2, 25, 26, and 27, right? Whether for chastising or correction, ruling, alright? So he's broken that. That's what's being done now, alright? It says, the Most High has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. Alright? He knows that. That's why Revelation 12 and 12 says what it says. He sees what's going on. A lot of you don't. And as that scripture implies, he knows that he has but a short time. So you're getting ready to see where he was doing a lot of this through guile, behind the scenes. Now he's going to have to use that sword that was gifted him. Alright? Yeah, you're going to see a lot of that. So that's going to be it for this. Hopefully you were edified, as we always try to do here at Great Millstone. That's our aim. That's our goal. Alright, edification through the scriptures. And, well, until then, again, this has been from the site Middle Nation with Shaheed Bolson. Alright, but some of the things he said, I have to question there. Alright. So, again, the West blame shifting, and this is what they're expert at. Not only as a nation, but as a people, this is what they do. Alright, you gotta call them out on it. So, until the next video, hey, shalom. Oh, hold on. Gotta get this copyright thing out there. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use. Alright. for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair uses are use permitted by copyright statutes that may otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So with that, until the next video, shalom.